Hello, for this tutorial we're going to look at setting up sheets. What I want you to do is go to File or the Revit menu, come down to New and come across to the arrow so that you can make sure you select Family in this drop down menu. And as you can see here we've got A0 to A4 metric size. I'm going to select the A3, very common in the UK, and then I'm just going to click Open. Now what this is going to do is going to set up a new family for our sheet templates, and we're going to customize it to make it suitable for all the information we want on our sheets. So the Revit template, as you can see, is very simple. It's simply the dimensions of an A3 sheet, not much to it. We're going to attempt to add the additional information in, and the first thing I want to do is create a border. So when you go to create, I'm going to select line. In this case, I want a 10 mil margin or 1 centimeter margin all around my sheet. So I'm going to use the offset tool here, up above, click that, and I'm going to make sure that I've selected 10 mil here. And I'm just going to hover near these lines until my lines appear, and then click for each one. Click again, hover on the side that you want it to be on, then click again. Make sure you don't hover on the wrong side of the line, or you'll create a line like that, which is outside the size of the paper. And now just to tidy that up, I'm going to use the trim or extend to corner command, TR, if you're using keyboard shortcuts, and then trim these lines by clicking on them. First one and then the other, and that trims them together. And now I've got my sheet set up at A3 and a border or margin to help me avoid losing any of my drawing off the edge. You might also want to select these lines and change the style. There is a subcategory selection tool up here, and you can actually make those lines invisible if you want to. But for the purposes of this template, I'm not going to do that. I like a crisp line around it like that. Now that we've got our workspace set up, or the area that we want to print out on the sheet, I want us to come down and start to set up some sort of grid for how we lay out our information. So I'm going to go to offset again. This time I'm going to offset maybe about 97. Sorry, I just got that wrong, 97. And I just want to see, so that's much too high, so I'm actually going to drop that somewhere around 25 mil. That looks much more reasonable, and that's going to be my logo area. We might need something like 90 for our, I'm going to choose 90 as the width of my logo and text area. And then I need an accurate spacing for them. So I'm going to choose about spacing of 20 mil for each line of text. And you'll help you see why in a minute. Okay. And I'm just going to trim that. Don't forget, whenever you use the trim extend multiple elements, first of all you click the line you want to cut with, and then you click the type or side of the line you want to keep. I just got that wrong there. Okay, and then I'm just going to use the trim on the edge of that. So now we've got a little rough sketch outline for our toolbar. So the next thing we need to do is bring in text. So first of all, we go to create, and we're going to go to label. And what this does is this is going to be a label that has some intelligence to it. Parametric sheets will try to obtain information from your project. So for this one, we will we will place this here. Once we have opened the box, we can select which information we want to draw out of the project and onto the sheet. For this, I'm going to select the sheet name as an example and click OK. Now, as you can see, the size and format, it's quite big for the size of sheet. So I'm going to come to the label section. And there's only two options here, so I'm going to have to create a second option. So if we come to edit type, and what I want to do first of all is create a duplicate so that I don't destroy this existing family. I'm going to say 4 mil text. Let's call it 4 mil. So then I'm going to reduce the text size down to 4 mil in the text settings. The tab size I'm going to reduce as well because it looks a little bit big for that size of text. And the leader border offset, I might reduce that slightly in case it causes any issues. And I'm going to click OK. So now my sheet is drawing out the name of the sheet into this box here. But as it does that, it won't explain what the title is. What we need as well is to create text to go along with that. And this text is really not pulling in information from the file, but is there to explain what the name relates to. So let's click in this area. What we're going to call this the drawing name. And I'm just going to click modify so it stops editing. And yet again, the text format is too large, so we need to set up a text format for this as well. So we go to edit type. We duplicate again. We go 4 mil. I'm going to call it 4 mil text. And I'm going to reduce the settings in a very similar way to what I did with the others. 4 mil text. I'm going to have a 6 mil tab size. Click OK. And now we've set up a 4 mil text. So now the sheet should be pulling in the drawing name, or sheet name as you might call it, placing it below this label. Of course, format wise, these look quite untidy. And what you can do as well, what I think I might do here is to offset these lines by 10 mil, just to check that these are being set out correctly. And what you want to do is continue doing that until we have all of the information that you want drawn out of the file right here. I'm not going to show you that just now because I'll fill that in at the end because it's a slightly repetitive task. Instead, what I want to show you now is how to insert your logo. So I'm just coming up to insert. I'm going to insert an image. So I'm just pulling in a generic logo. Click and it should appear. Then obviously we need to resize this. It's hugely too big. So resize that down to get a more sensible size. Something like that. So we've inserted our logo, we've got our drawing name, and we're going to fill out the rest in a minute. But first of all, I want to show you do revision table. Now automatically you won't have a revision table here. What we need to do is go to View, go to Revision Schedule. Now this will tell you the formatting of your revision schedule. And already you can see the revision sequence, the number, the description, and the date are listed here. I also want to drag in issued by so that I know who's issued this drawing. So I'm going to do that. And I'm now going to look at the sorting. So the revision sequence is going to be ascending. And formatting. Heading orientation is horizontal. Horizontal. That's all fine. I'm happy with that. And the appearance. Top down. I don't actually want it to go top down. I want it to start here, just above my my title block, and move up. So I'm going to go bottom up. The grid lines I'm going to switch off. I don't want to see any grid lines on it. I also don't want a blank row before the data. I want it to go straight into giving me the information. And I also don't want to see the title because I don't need a revision title. What I need is the headers, yes, because they will tell me what is in each cell. And then I click OK. Now that's set up the schedule, and it should open it for you to modify. So instead of revision number, I'm really going to say revision instead. And I'm going to also just list description and date. So I'm just deleting revision from these and issued by. I'm quite happy with that. And I'd like to know how it looks. So if you close that, you should now have set up your revision schedule. But it's not currently on your sheet. So we need to go looking for it. Go to Views and then Schedule. So there should be a revision schedule. That can simply be dragged in and placed. And as you see, it's got relevant information. One problem we have now is the formatting of it. We might want to drag it into a position. And I want it above this here area. So I'm going to zoom into here. And as you can see, it's quite difficult to fit that much text in. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify it into shorthand. So I'm just going to leave rev, descriptions, fine, date, and instead of issued by, I'm just going to simply leave it to say by. So I would prefer the date to be before the description. Now what I need to do is modify the column, so I just right clicked. I'm just going to say to insert column at this point. And I'm not actually going to insert anymore. What I'm going to do is move the date up in the list so that the sequencing starts with the revision, the date, then the description, and then who it's issued by. And I'm happy with that. So I'm going to close that. So it's now been rearranged. And these small arrows can now be used to modify the size of the revision schedule. I think description will need more text than the rest. And now I'm quite happy with that. I'll just bring that down to the position I want. Now, one more point I've noticed is that the schedule has text centered, which I don't want to do. I prefer to have all of the text left aligned where possible. To do that, you can simply click on this and then change the alignment up here. I believe we can select left alignment on each cell. And yeah, that's great. And now I've got a very simple revision table here. So as you can see, I've now finished off my sheet layout. I have set up all of the titles that I want. I want employer name or client name, the project name, project number, with a note about the scale, the drawing name, the drawing number, the current revision, and the purpose of the issue above my logo. I also have my revision table, which will create revisions up from this area here. So that is the sheet finished. Now all we need to do is save our family. So if we go to File, Save As, and select Family, we can now save this. I already have a template set up called Your Logo A3 template. Once you save that family, you can then use it in multiple projects. Click Save, and you've set up your first sheet template to use throughout your projects and can be dragged in at any time. When you're working on your project, and let's close this family just to demonstrate this. When you're working on a project like this is a house project, you should see that no sheets are included. But if you right click and hit select new sheet, you can then load in some of your previously saved templates. So in this case, I need to go to the family templates, English, the title blocks, and select my new Your Logo A3 template. Click OK. This should hopefully load in your sheet. The next thing you might want to do is to put some information onto that sheet. You can simply drag your views into that sheet now. Just giving Revit a moment to process it. And if they're the correct scale for that type of sheet, they will fit. You can then modify that. So now you have a sheet set up. It should draw project information, and it also has a drawing on it with scale. When you go to the sheets, you should see it here, automatically named, and you can simply modify that in the Properties toolbar on the right. If you'd like to use my template, I'll hopefully have a link ready so that you can download this template and use it as a basis for your own projects. If you would like to create different size sheets rather than the A3, I recommend simply adjusting the size yourself. If we click on this and go to Edit Family, you should be able to modify the size of the sheet to A1, A0. Then simply go to File, Save As, Family, and then save that family as a different size sheet. As you can see here, I've set up all sorts of other templates at different sizes. But that should be simple, just to modify the outside